some benefits of feedback, and then what are some of the barriers of feedback? I guess that's probably the one question lurking on people's mind, that okay, I intend to do it, but there is these things that come in my way. Maybe
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
first, the benefits, just some
Yeah.
basic benefits, and then let's talk about what are the typical barriers that come.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're okay, let's also have a feedback type conversation. I think that will be a
Yes,
complete word. Yeah.
sure, of
Feedback
course.
type conversations, right? And since I think I'm going to use this platform also to, and whoever is listening to this and watching this, I would encourage all the people manager there or in personal level, whenever you're having this conversation, please make it universal. Please make it a wholesome process. Anytime you want to use this conversation, use it for both positive, negative, and neutral. If you want to acknowledge something, for example, uh, you want to acknowledge, hey, I observe you coming on time. I really appreciate that. I really see that DNA of you keeping the time. I learned from one of my mentor, Nikhil, whatever you appreciate, appreciates.
Uh,
I think that's the awesome benefit of feedback.
really
You
nice.
telling someone, hey, you have a great handwriting. Hey, I like the way you keep things in place. Hey, I like your present. I really admire your presentation skills. Hey, I like the way you motivate people. Hey, I like the way you carry your team along, right? I think what that does is it makes that person aware, saying, I have this skill. If you know Ikigai or Hedgehog, right?
Yeah.
And I often use example of Sachin Tendulkar.
Yeah.
He's a great batsman. I think he's great batsman to all of us. He himself, it's so easy for him to take a bat and hit that square cut or whatever that is. I think the if you use the Hedgehog model, the gifts, all of us have gifts, but the gifts are the things which we do with ease. It's only outside world recognizes that, and that's one of the best advantage of feedback.
Mm.
A manager or someone who's third party is observing you or someone else, and if you observe someone doing something great, please tell them that. Don't say, "Arey, it's very easy for you," and it could be anything. It could be singing, it could be music, putting things together, working with people, doing organizing things, speaking, anything, or technical things, solving problems, singing, anything. Just tell them that. I think it will be reinforced. As a manager, a people manager, I would highly recommend, if you want any repetitive behavior in your employee, state that in your feedback. And you will see that automatically having a ripple effect. The employees have a psychological burden now to repeat that since manager once affirmed that.
Mm.
That's a great feedback. That's number one.
Mm.
Number two, I think one of the good benefit of feedback is people know what not to do. Yeah, typically I also do, since a lot of and the organization I work with, since we are a very fast growth, whenever a new employee joins, they come from that culture, right? It's a critical thing for you to tell them how do you operate, and if you just speak behind their back, they really don't know what is okay here unless until you give them feedback. Again, it's reinforcing, saying what's the expected behavior and what is the correction required, right? Another thing, feedback is never, and that's again, it feels like a classroom, it's never to find faults. It is always to correct. So the equation I'm going to state that is performance equals potential minus interference, right? So it is always to reduce the interference so that they work up to their potential. So don't use feedback to find faults. Don't use feedback to find mistakes. Don't use feedback to tell them why they are not getting raised. Is always a corrective conversation saying what's working well, what they could do better. And let me complete in the same breath of some of the negative things in some of the organizations when the managers are not having these complete conversations. If they are using feedback only to find faults, there is a psychological connection to feedback. The moment manager says, "I want to give feedback, come to my cabin," they know, something wrong is going to happen. And I think from one organization to another organization, they just carry that. Oh, feedback time is this, and whenever things go wrong, the manager says, "I want to give you feedback. Come." They never say, "Hey, come on, hey, I think that function happened well. I just want to share with you what worked well. I want to give you feedback." Yeah, I think that's the tonality. So I'm just going to repeat that. I'm repeating
Yeah.
myself. Dear
No, I,
managers, if you're watching this video, please complete the feedback loop. It's not only bad, it's for good as well.
yeah.
Balance it out. And I think more for good. I think that's good for you and your team,
Right.
since you want your team to perform well.